Slide number 18. In order not to strain a number of relatively fragile parts built around the machine, we first position our left hand under the front left frame of the keyboard, as shown here. Slide number 19. Then place your right hand under the A-frame as shown. With this, you can now lift the machine out of the bottom cover. If your machine is somewhat older, you might find that it does not have this A-frame. It will have various shafts running from left to right instead. It is okay for you to lift the machine out of the bottom frame only after you have made sure that the shafts by which you want to lift it are properly secured. But even then, be very careful because the shafts can come off in the process. Once the machine is completely out of the case, however, we should lift it by holding it by its power frame, which is a solid cast frame visible below the right hand. At this point, go ahead with the lifting of your typewriter out of the case. Slide number 20. If you tilt the machine on its back, you will be able to examine the slotted lever which is used to hold together the bottom cover and the machine frame. The slot, visible through the hole, indicated by the pencil, fits around a grooved stud on the bottom cover or case. Locate it too. Slide number 21. As mentioned, on earlier machines you might find a different kind of cover latch. You will find that the bottom cover is simply pulled off the rest of the machine. After you pull the bottom away from the rest of the typewriter, you can see that the bottom cover is held in place by spring clamps, such as this one. These clamps simply hold on to studs located on the center section of the covers. Slide number 22. On this earlier style of covers, the typewriter is literally suspended on rubber studs, which are mounted on the center section. The objective of this feature is to reduce the noise which is produced by the typewriter when it is in use. By loosening the indicated screw, we find that we can easily unlatch the center section from the typewriter frame. It is not necessary to remove the screw completely. Just loosening it so that the latch can be rotated will suffice. Slide number 23. Be sure to check whether your machine comes with these service feet under the power frame. If not, you can order the feet from IBM Corporation by the number 1174008. You will need 4 of them. Install them as shown here, under the power frame of the machine. These feet will allow you to slide the machine over a smooth surface, such as Formica, without scratching or otherwise damaging the surface. Slide number 24. While you're at it, be sure to order these booklets if you do not already have them. You are expected to use these throughout the training program and beyond while working in the field. You will find detailed and easy to understand instructions for parts ordering in the beginning of each of these booklets, so that it becomes superfluous for us to discuss their usage here. Slide number 25. Our first subject will be the positive power section of the machine. It consists of the motor, belt, gears, and clutches used in the Selectric typewriter. The study of this positive power section of the Selectric typewriter is equivalent to studying the power roll drive and cams on the conventional type bar machines. For troubleshooting purposes, it is of utmost importance that we be able to divide the machine into sections, and that we be able also to mentally and practically keep these sections separated while working on the machine. In fact, if we are able to do this intelligently, we can at all times substantially narrow down the overall area or machine section in which we search for a given problem. Slide number 26. The second training program will concern itself with the deployment of the force stored in the mainspring. It involves mechanisms such as the escapement for printing operations, the escapement for the spacebar operation, and the tabulation. At the end of this segment, we will also study the backspace, the express backspace, and the carrier return mechanisms, because these mechanisms are used in order to restore the mainspring tension. In other words, these mechanisms will replenish our source of negative power. Slide number 27. The third segment of our study is the input section. The most important parts of the input section comprise the keyboard, the interposers, and the selector latches. Aside from these major parts, we find that the input section only contains a few locks and interlocks. Whenever we wish to perform any function on the IBM Selectric typewriter, we start out with two distinct steps. One, the selection or the choosing of selector latches, which are connected to the mechanisms representing the various functions of the typewriter. And two, the selection of a power source to operate the selected latches or mechanisms. The name Selectric is a very appropriate designation for this typewriter, since it first selects latches and then drives or operates them electrically. All of what concerns selection is covered in this input section. Slide number 28. Built around the source of positive and the source of negative power, we find the output section of the machine. It represents the fourth step in our study of the IBM Selectric typewriter. Under output, we will describe the indexing, tilt, shift and rotate, and printing mechanisms. Slide number 29. Segment number 5 is the final part of our study. In it, we will cover the ribbon mechanisms and the correcting tape mechanism. The special features, such as the dual pitch features of the Selectric tool, are also covered in this segment. Slide number 30. In order to perform the ensuing steps of exploratory disassembly, you need a standard office machine repair toolkit, plus a few tools specially designed for the IBM Selectric typewriters. Some of these, such as the hand cycle wheel and the hooverometer on the right, you will already need in this segment of our Selectric training program. Slide number 31. An IBM spring hook and a set of Bristol wrenches are also essential. Be sure to obtain these items before continuing. Other special tools will be introduced as they are needed. Slide number 32. Now let us install the cycle wheel by turning it top towards the front of the machine. It is most important that the wheel be rotated only top towards the front of the machine. Slide number 33. It is very easy to damage the input section or the keyboard by turning the hand cycle wheel in the wrong direction. Turn the cycle wheel only in the indicated direction at all times. Slide number 34. If you ever want to remove the hand cycle wheel, first turn it into a position such that you can, with your left hand, hold the torque limiter to prevent it from turning top to the rear. Only then should you apply the torque needed to unscrew the hand cycle wheel by turning it top to the rear. Slide number 35. Now move the left margin stop all the way to the extreme left position by first pressing in on the lever and then sliding the margin stop to the left end of the margin rack. Repeat the procedure in order to move the right margin stop all the way to its extreme right position. Slide number 36. Now depress the tabulation key and then turn the hand cycle knob or wheel top to the front. The carrier should move towards the right as a result of it. If the carrier should stop before reaching the right margin, first release the tabulation key and then depress it again while continuing to turn the hand cycle wheel. Repeat this process until the carrier reaches the extreme right position. At this point, please reverse the position of your sound cassette so as to continue the program by playing cassette 1, side 2.